His forgiveness upon our lives. And we cannot be able to experience empowerment from the Lord unless we exercise in our daily life love and forgiveness. That's the key point. We cannot experience empowerment, or liberation in life without love and forgiveness. And I really like another slide from Mother Teresa. And Mother Teresa said, if we really want to love, we must learn how to forgive. What's a beautiful quotation. If we really want to love, we must learn how to forgive. And it is not easy in our spiritual journey to exercise the forgiveness throughout our lives. Because if we not extend our forgiveness to others, we will not be able to love that person as God has loved us. Right? So it is very true when Mother Teresa asking us, we need to learn, if you really want to love the others, we must learn how to forgive. Because forgiveness is the heart of God. Forgiveness is the foundation of healing. We cannot experience healing and liberation without forgiveness. It is a path towards healing. And look at our lives, look at the lives of others. We experience liberation when we exercising love more fully and forgiveness more fully in our lives. And forgiveness, according to the Lord, forgiveness is a choice. You must forgive. You must forgive. Forgiveness is releasing of debt. You must offer unlimited forgiveness. Forgiveness is an act of compassion. You must initiate forgiveness. Forgiveness is an ongoing choice. You must keep on forgiving. And interesting in Catholic teaching, in Christian foundation of our faith, is that Jesus says to love the others, it is not an optional, it is a command. It's very hard, right? It is not that I have to choose, but no, it is a commandment from the Lord. And if we are as his disciples, then we are invited to choose all the time to love and to forgive. If I receive the forgiveness as a gift from the Lord, and I must extend my forgiveness as a gift. That is the circle of life in it. So if I have been forgiven by him, then I need to extend my forgiveness to others all the time. Because I keep on receiving the forgiveness of the Lord. And the Lord is not stopping to forgive or to love us. He continue to love and to forgive us. What's a beautiful heart of the Lord. And I remember years ago, and I might have told this story to you, but I remember in my own personal story, when I had a clash with my own brother, an MGL brother, and it was very hard. First of all, I was still seminarian at the time, and that person was already a priest. Interestingly, two of us have a so different personality. And he's so direct, Italian background, it's a beautiful man, young priest. But somehow in our community that we don't get along well at the time, didn't get along well. So somehow, and a lot of certain prejudice in him and also inside of me. So one point, you know, when you holding these things up in your life, you're holding and keep on holding it, and somehow it will blow up. That was my experience. And that priest at the time was so angry with me. And we were thinking, this is so irrational. Why? That we're living in one house, in one community, we had a certain things inside of us was not resolved yet. And then I was the one who initiated for the reconciliation because I can't live in the tension. I need to let it out and live in peace. So then what happened was I asked him, we prayed before the Blessed Sacraments, brother, I really want to ask you. I want to ask your forgiveness. And then he also asking my forgiveness. It is a bold, it's the step of faith to ask and sitting with someone, whatever happened in the past, we need to bring to the light. And then I asked him, brother, I think it is too much. I experience like, you know, our relationship is not working and I can't really, I try to avoid you so much and so much anger inside of me. Tell me what a certain prejudice that you have in me, about me. He was shocked. I just want to listen. As a Christian mature man, I really want to listen. What type of prejudice that you have in me? So listing all the prejudice, and I was surprised that the things that outside of my memory, it's all because it's a prejudice. It's not true. And I could say, okay, I said, oh, 1, 2, 3. Number 3 is true, but number 4, no. Number 5 is not right. Number 6 is not right. Oh, and then his turn, and my turn. And I also say the same things. This is how I feel about you. Number 1, 2, 3. And let it out all. But the truth in that conversation, it's maybe only 0.1%. The rest was all prejudice. And once I was able to bring to light, and it's a beautiful moment of mercy. I had an experience of encounter with the heart of the Lord himself. And I think it is true when Jesus saying and keep on saying in the gospel, if you forgive those who have hurt you, your name will be written in heaven. If you forgive those who hurt you in the past or right now, then you have a heart like me. And it is, we are moving towards deepen our faith in him. It is not a human connection. It must be a power come from above. Because why? Because in our human nature, we tend to, because our ego is so big, we try to win everything. But the Lord teaching us in different paths. If we follow him closely in our life, the Lord really wants us to experience His mercy. That's why divine mercy, when we have the divine mercy prayer, the divine mercy, it's a prayer not only to be devoted in, but divine mercy, a prayer that need to be lived in, to exercise throughout our lives, daily, day by day. And it is a hard call. It's a hard call to be a Christian. If you want to be uneasy, just leave the Christianity. It will be easy life. Christians' pattern of discipleship and life is Jesus always called us to the cross. Cross first. He didn't call us to experience straight away the resurrection. We can only experience Sunday, Easter Sunday, after we immerse ourselves in the Good Friday. Good Friday and Easter Sunday, we can't be separated between this. It's a circle of life. We experience cross, but the cross itself is not the end. It is the victory that we can experience the resurrection of Jesus. It's beautiful when we immerse ourselves into this mystery of the death and the resurrection of Jesus. So therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, so forgiveness, it is an act of will, the decision to let go of a hurt. It is a choice of forgiving over resenting, right? It is a choice, a constant choice, every single time that we need to let it go. Let go of the hurt, and my choice of forgiving over resenting. Just imagine as a husband and wife, or any other consecrated person, if I here standing here. First day of their marriage was beautiful, right? It's beautiful. People will celebrate that love. But mind you, the second day, that love must transform into forgiveness. Marriage stay forever. That because exercising always have a choice of forgiving over resenting. Because forgiveness, whether the other person acknowledges wrongdoing or not, we have to choose all the time. We have to choose to forgive, because forgive free his or her own heart from anger and bitterness. Right. For we are invited by the Lord to always choose to forgive. Choose to forgive, to free his or her own heart from anger and bitterness. Because in any communities, whenever we are, so it's good things in the Catholics is that all of us are lost sheep. All of us. And our community, whether it is in this community or the community as a Christian community in our parish, or whatever it might be, we are all lost. You are lost, and I'm lost too. We are all lost. But we have been found by Christ Himself. And that is the greatest gift that you and I treasure. In Catholics, none of us are perfect. So I wouldn't say that, okay, in the left side of the pews, they are holy. In the right side of the pews in the church, they are sin. We are all sinners. We are all called to experience the tenderness and merciful heart of God in our life. After we experience this, we experience the tenderness of the Lord, then we experience the empowerment, the new energy in us, that new power within us, because we let it go, all the hurt, and we exercising the forgiveness in our lives. And it is a very hard call. It is a very hard call to be able to all the time to forgive others. Because all of us weak, very weak. Some might be accused us in different with certain things that we are not doing. Some might be things or accuse little things or start to gossip about the others. But even when I found out that my name would be talking around by others, but the Lord invite us to let it go and let the forgiveness and mercy of Him sinking into our heart. Any question before I continue? Hello? So any questions about this? Whether we'll be able to a bit interactive. If you have question, then you can raise hand and or sharing a little bit about your life too, which is it's nice. Short recollection, but it's a beautiful time together.
Anyone, you can raise your hands if you want to say something.
Father would have to continue.
Just keep going,
Huh?
Father.
Just keep
I'll
going.
keep going.
Just keep
Right.
going.
I'll keep going. Okay. You know, the gospel story yesterday, it's actually, check here. You know, when yesterday's gospel, when Jesus asked a person that he healed, and he says, so this is an interesting connection with the things that we just talked about. So yourself, the leper, show yourself to the priest as prescribed by Moses.
Moses prescribed
that the blood of the lamb that you and I treasure in life, it's always continually pouring upon us. And it's a beautiful gospel yesterday in the daily mass that Jesus asked the leper, because when he got healed, he says to him, show yourself to the priest, bring the things as Moses prescribed. Anyone remember in the Old Testament what the things we need to remember to bring to the priest when we are healed? It says in the Old Testament, prescribed by Moses, when the purification of the lepers, they need to bring two dove. But interesting ceremony that the priests have to do. The ceremony was, priest shall command the one, because it's two birds, so the one of the birds be slaughtered over fresh water in the earthen vessel. And then he shall take the living bird with cedar wood and crimson yarn and hyssop, and dip them, the living bird, in the blood of the bird that was slaughtered over the fresh water. Over the fresh water. that bird that been slaughtered, that bird who, because bring to one will be flying over, but the one dead for the sake of the other can fly freely. And it is you and me. You and I can fly freely because the blood of the Lamb is always pouring upon us. And it says, it is this bird that was slaughtered over the fresh water, the living water, the Holy Spirit empowering us when we exercising the forgiveness in our lives, that the power of the Lord is always with us and we become stronger in our Christian journey. Like the lepers, when they are healed, they need to bring the 2 little doves to the high priest. One have to be slaughtered and pouring the blood of the innocent to the other one as a sign of redemption. So the other bird can fly freely. You and I right now, we are fly freely because of because of the one sacrifice did by the Lord on the cross. And it is, we experience continuation of His mercy and redemption in life if we have the good foundation of mercy and forgiveness in life. Nothing else. People will say the empowerment, yes, of course, we can talk more, but in the practical way, in the Christian journey, in our everyday lives, that we have to exercise this, sinking more deeper in our lives. Without it, we have only violence. Without it, we have only resentment. Look at the world around us right now. I thought the war was finished. No. The more and more we experience violence. In America, Black Lives Matter. Of course, racism is wrong and unacceptable, but the reaction of it, unacceptable and it's demonic. That because we put mercy and forgiveness over resentment. But if we exercise mercy and forgiveness more fully in our lives, we won't experience violence in life. So my dear brothers and sisters, Jesus often spoke about forgiveness, forgave those who sin against others, forgive those who sin against him, and asked the church to continue his healing ministry. Continue to do his ministry. And I think sacramentally, yes, we have to go for the confession, but spiritually, we need to exercise the sacrament of mercy in day-to-day life by exercising the forgiveness that God has put into our hearts. And it is a free will that you and I must do. No other choice. It is a beautiful gift from the Lord. And in Colossians it says, may you be strengthened with all power according to his glorious might of all endurance and patience with joy. So I think in our spiritual journey, when we have that inner freedom, in our lives that keep the mercy and forgiveness become part of who I am, then we be strengthened by all power according to his glorious might for all endurance and patience with joy. The end of the day, we can experience more happier and more joy in life. May you be strengthened with all power according to his glorious might for all endurance and patience with joy. St. Paul, interestingly, connecting this because he knew that a man who changed his life, that because St. Paul experienced a huge mercy and forgiveness from the Lord. He killed Christians and now come to the time he says, how come this man be able to forgive me? How come this man be able to restore me? And he identified that the person that I killed was himself. At the same time for us too, the person that we might hate it so much or won't be able to restore our relationship are the other face of Christ. It's Christ himself. It's him. Paul encountered the others as Jesus himself. Because Jesus says, the one that you kill is me. And now for Paul to experience that simple encounter changed his direction, changed his life because he experienced tenderness and mercy of the Lord. And I'm sure you and I are called to do the same. You and I are called to have a tender heart of our loving Father. You and I are called to exercise the forgiveness of the Lord. You and I are invited to exercise daily the mercy and goodness of the Lord. I remember years ago when I was still in Canberra, we had a meeting in Melbourne. It was young. It was an old lady from Singapore. You might have heard, but I need to repeat this story again. What happened at the prayer ministry was she was sick and walking like this, back pain for so long. And then went to the hospital and checked to the specialist. Nothing happened because being for so long. And when I pray over, an image come to my mind was a father. And I says to her, Mom, in this image related to your life, that I see I see a man. He says, no, nothing related to my life at all. I said, oh, okay. So next time, the next day we come back to that prayer meeting, the same. Well, when I went home, I prayed about it. It was the same. It's still that image so strong, stay in my head. And I asked her again, Mom, whether this image related to your life? And she cried. She cried. She said, yes. When I was little, when I was about 6 years old or so, my father was so angry. He came home throw everything out and then carry me, try to sink me into the water. Since that time on, I was so angry towards my father. And then I said, well, and I could feel the struggle to forgive her father. And I said, Mom, no other way to experience the healing of Jesus. The forgiveness is a path towards healing. The forgiveness must become the bridge to experience, to gain that healing mercy from the Lord. And then she says to me, yes, I would like to forgive my father. And then it's very hard when she tried to forgive. She said, uh, uh, and I just say a simple prayer to pray. Uh, Jesus, in your name, I forgive my father. But in your name, not in my name, not in my power, but in your power, Lord, forgive my father. And then she said this. When she said, the worm, this is a worm in her back, it's come like electrocute. And then suddenly, the pain for so long that she experienced, only in a second, lifted, disappeared. And he experienced a full restoration, not only physically, but she experienced emotionally and spiritually. So the Lord, through that experience of physical healing, God saw her in the deeper inner healing. God saw her into the core of her being, that this forgiveness that you forgive to your father is actually bring healing to your life. And she changed. And she went back to the doctor, checking it out, no more pain, and her back was fine. So an interesting, right? When we have a heart like the Father, when we have that, we be able to experience restoration and healing remedy from Him. Yeah, it's good to bless His name. Okay, so I will talk a little bit more, and then we will start with adoration, and then we will pray over. If anyone would like to be prayed for, and I would like to extend a healing prayer, and it is good that I can easily shift it one by one, and maybe the coordinator there, and then we are as a one community in the Lord, that we be able to maybe not people outside, but between us, that we can immerse our life in the fountain of mercy of the Lord, and we can experience a real healing from Him. Right? Because the forgiveness is nothing new in our lives. It is not something that we have to learn from thick book, but the thick book of the forgiveness that we must learn is actually here in our heart. It's not documented by the scholars or the psychologists, but it's documented already by God Himself in our heart. And now our turn, our task is to open this book of mercy day by day, knowing it and exercising it, because that is the best medicine in life. It's the best medicine in life. And look, the world around us, full of violence, just because lack of forgiveness and mercy. Our ego is so easy to dominating our lives and our emotion. Our emotion must become the good slave in our hearts. Our emotion cannot become the master of our life. If our emotion become the master of our life, it will ruin our lives in a minute. But if emotion become a servant of our lives, we can easily dictate it. If the anger come up, I can put it aside. Not to suppress, but that's like, okay, anger, you stay there. I can discern it properly. I will get a better bullet, which is mercy and forgiveness. Once we put a better bullet, the mercy and forgiveness, anger will die. Envy will die. Everything, the negative emotion will die because we get the better bullet that Jesus is asking us. Jesus didn't tell us, teaching us big things. He says, love others, forgive others. And this is it. There's a bigger, it's a powerful, more than atomic bomb. Love and forgiveness. It is because it's a too powerful, the devil doesn't like it. Because it's too powerful, the devil doesn't like it. He really wants to tempting us with envy, with anger, with so many negative emotions. But those are only a small bullet. The big bullet in our lives is love and forgiveness. Exercising it, bombing it in our lives. So let it blast it more. So then the world will be full of atomic element of mercy and forgiveness. Don't let the envy, the anger, the unforgiveness overwhelming our lives. If those overwhelm our lives, we become powerless and sick in mind and also in our body. Mentally, we are sick. You know, in your life, how hard, but we are constantly invited to choose the better bullet, which is love and forgiveness. So many account in the gospel, right? When Jesus teach his people, if we make a whole summary of the teaching of our Lord, no other than mercy and forgiveness. That is the core of the gospel. If someone asking us to make a 2 words in summary of whole scriptures, only 2 words, love and forgiveness, nothing else, nothing else. Those is the core that sometimes we ourselves make it so complicated. We ourselves make it so complicated because the devil doesn't want us to grow stronger as a Christian man and woman. I would just imagine if every countries, if every person exercised this love and forgiveness more and more in their daily life, that the promise of the Lord to live in peace become reality. Yes, of course, we living in peace, but not that yet. Maybe until we die or so, then we in the perfect peace. But while we are as a pilgrims, people here on earth, that we are constantly asked to exercise a better bullet, a Christian bullet, love and forgiveness.